You ever get one of those questions that just stops you in your tracks? Like, how many golf balls can fit in a school bus? Feels impossible, right? Well, that's exactly the kind of brain teaser we're going to crack today. The kind you might get in a high-stakes consulting interview. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll have a killer framework to solve it.
Okay, so picture this. You're in the interview, and they hit you with, estimate the total number of cats on the AUB campus. I mean, who knows that, right? You can't just Google it, and that's the whole point. This is a classic guesstimate question. It's designed to be hyperlocal with no easy data, forcing you to think from scratch. So are you just supposed to pull a number out of thin air? Nope, not at all.
And this is the secret sauce, right here. They literally don't care if the real number is 80 or 120. What they're really watching is, how do you handle a problem with no clear answer? Can you create a logical plan out of total chaos? It's a test of your thinking process, not what you already know.
So why do they do this? I mean, what's the point? Well, these aren't just silly brain teasers. They're mini business simulations. They want to see how you'd act when a client asks you to, say, estimate the market for a brand new gadget that's never existed before. It's the exact same skill, making sense out of the unknown.
The good news is you don't have to wing it. There's actually a super reliable 4-step playbook for this. And once you learn it, you can use it for anything, from counting campus cats to figuring out market sizes. Let's break it down. Okay, step 1. And this might be the most important step of all. Before you even think about doing any math, you've got to put a fence around the problem. You have to define exactly what you're trying to solve. And you do that by asking really smart questions.
And not all questions are created equal. You can't just ask something vague like, are there a lot of cats? That gets you nowhere. You need to be specific. Askings like, are we counting only the cats that live here full time, or do visitors count? And the interviewer will say, just the residents. Or, should I include newborn kittens? No, let's focus on the stable, year-round population. See? Each question narrows the target.
And just like that, with a couple good questions, we've gone from a super fuzzy problem to a crystal clear objective. Now we actually know what we're aiming for.
All right, on to step 2, structuring your logic. Seriously, whatever you do, don't start calculating yet. You need a plan first. It's like building a house. You need the blueprint before you start laying bricks. The big question here is, how do we break this giant, scary problem down into smaller, bite-sized chunks we can actually guess at?
Now, you might be tempted to do something top-down, right? Like find the number of cats per square kilometer in Beirut and just apply it to the campus area. But that won't work. Why? Because a campus isn't a typical city block. It has dorms, cafeterias, and students who feed the cats. It's its own little world. So we have to go bottom up. We have to build our answer from scratch based on what's actually on campus.
So if we're building from the ground up, what's the most important factor, the main driver for a cat population? It's food, right? Cats go where the food is. So our whole plan is going to be based on that. We'll split the campus into 2 types of zones. High-density zones, where there's lots of food access, think cafeterias, and low-density zones, where there isn't, like around the quiet admin buildings.
Okay, now we're ready for step 3. We have our objective, we have our logical structure. Now we can finally start playing with some numbers. And the trick here is to keep it simple. Use nice, round numbers that you can justify and easily calculate in your head. No one's expecting you to use a calculator. Let's tackle the high-density zones first, the good spots. So how many are there? Let's make a reasonable assumption, maybe 5. You've got the main cafeteria, a couple of big dorms, maybe a popular green space. Okay, 5 zones. And how many cats can one of these prime spots support? Let's say about 15. So 5 zones times 15 cats per zone, that gives us 75 cats in the popular areas. All right, now for the rest of the campus. The low-density, quieter spots. We're talking about the areas around lecture halls or administrative buildings. Let's estimate there are about, say, 10 of these general areas. And since there's less food, maybe you only find 1 or 2 cats in each. Let's go with 2. So 10 areas times 2 cats, that's another 20 cats. And now for the easiest part of the whole thing. We just add our 2 numbers together. We've got 75 cats from the high traffic zones and 20 cats from the quiet zones. So our grand total is 95. So based on our logic, our best estimate is 95 cats living on campus. But wait, don't stop there. We're on to the final step, step 4. And this is where you can really impress them. You have to wrap it all up and do a quick sanity check. Basically, you just ask yourself, does this number actually make sense? This shows you're not just a robot who can do math. You can also think about the bigger picture. And how you say it is key. You need to sound confident. You just walk them back through your logic real quick and state your answer. Something like, okay, so based on breaking the campus down by high and low food resource zones, my estimate for the total cat population is about 95. Now for that sanity check. This is a brilliant little trick. You take your answer, your unknown number, and you compare it to a number that you do know, a reliable proxy, and you just see if the relationship between them feels right. In this case, what's a solid number we can work with? Well, the human population. We can make a pretty safe guess that there are, about 8,000 people, students and staff on campus. So let's do the math. If you have 8,000 people and 95 cats, that comes out to roughly 1 cat for every 80 people. Now you step back and ask, does that sound crazy? And you know what? For a university campus where students love the cats and feed them all the time, that sounds totally plausible. Boom! Sanity check passed. So, you see where this is going, right? We went through all that work, but it was never really about the cats. It was a Trojan horse for a much bigger idea, problem solving. Think about it. This little cat problem is a perfect miniature version of a huge business challenge. It proves you can take something messy and uncertain and give it structure. It shows you're comfortable making reasonable assumptions when you don't have all the facts. These aren't just interview tricks. These are the core skills of any good strategist. So the big takeaway is this. The next time you get a question that feels impossible, don't freeze up. Take a deep breath. Remember, the goal isn't to have the magic answer. The goal is to show them a clear, logical, and calm way to find an answer, even when data is nowhere to be found. Honestly, this 4-step framework is more than just an interview trick. It's a powerful tool for thinking, period. You can use it on a tough project at work, a business idea, anything. It just helps you think clearly. So the only question left is, what impossible problem are you going to solve with it?